news. So let's get into it. Let's talk about this the Switch 2 here. Switch 2 sets all-time hardware launch record in US, surprising very few.
So previously held by PS4, which, it dominated that record.
Yep.
It blew it out of the water.
All right.
And then apparently 80% of those people bought Mario Kart as standalone or bundle.
Okay.
The 3 best-selling games were Mario Kart, Cyberpunk, and Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 edition. A lot of people just must have held out. Been like, nah, I'm going to wait for Switch 2 to play that game. And then...
They were waiting just a little while.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They waited 2 years.
That's wild.
Yeah.
All right.
The Switch 2 is the biggest console launch in Japan ever as well. The fastest selling previous console was PS2 in Japan. It did 3.5 million units in the first 4 days. PlayStation 5 did 3.4 in the first 4 weeks. And 4.5 in the first 7 weeks, though they had stock shortages because, COVID.
Yep.
Nintendo is trying to hit 15 million units by end of its first business year, or even beat that number, which most people are predicting it will do.
Yep.
I would imagine by Christmas they're going to hit it.
I think it depends on what their Christmas game is and if they can keep up with stock. But I'm inclined to agree.
That's guaranteed at that point.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree because they got a Pokemon game coming out in October.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's coming out on Switch 1 as well.
That's true.
But I feel like with how those games performed on Switch 1, it's like I feel like a lot of Pokemon.
This will be actually a really good test of like who really is like willing to tolerate just terrible performance, terrible graphics to just plays a little bit cheaper Pokemon. I mean, $500 is a lot for a console. I mean, it's pretty standard for a console, high for a Nintendo console. But it'll be really interesting. This is a good experiment. I'm very interested.
Yeah. So I'm kind of curious about that myself. And then I think that I've said it before. I think the hate for this thing was really overblown. I think there were a lot of people who were just expecting $300. But if you heard about the hardware in this thing, you were like, absolutely no way.
Yeah, no.
Not in a million years.
Yeah.
I think
a lot. I guess we had this conversation. I was like, I thought this was more about the $80 games, but you said that there are people that are specifically talking about the console price, and it's just like, yeah, we know they know it looked bad because they didn't reveal it until after the direct was over. But that was the most understandable part. Like, this thing is crazy.
So yeah, a couple of news stories that are linked to this though that are interesting.
Oh,
apparently over 2,800 Switch 2 consoles have been stolen during transit.
Okay.
Oh my god!
I choose to believe it was a Fast and Furious incident. A team of ragtag group of drivers just stole by the box load.
Jesus Christ! That'd be hilarious if that was the case.
So a major truck theft in Colorado.
Okay.
On the morning of June 8th. Yep. A truck driver was doing a pre-trip inspection when he noticed something was wrong. Several pallets of cargo were missing, and the trailer had clearly been broken into. And turns out these pallets contained 2,810 Switch 2s.
Man.
Oh my god.
Getting your Switch 2s stolen, you're getting Colorado Rockies can't catch a break. Colorado can't have nothing.
They can't have anything good. Shit.
The real funny part about this is, guys, all these things have serial numbers, so the second these things go on the internet, they're going to get bricked.
Yeah.
So that's the funny part for me, is just like, But like on the other side, I think like yeah, but these dudes are probably gonna throw them on eBay, and then that's not their problem. But then this goes back to the hey, you shouldn't buy hardware from scalpers.
You shouldn't. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
For many reasons, and this is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't know what they did to it. You don't know. Could ban the console. Just saying. Next, so they also have so one of the big things on the Switch One was rampant piracy.
Okay.
I heard about this.
People still bought games, but it also had a very large piracy problem. Like legit, mainstream normal people I knew were like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna be playing it on an emulator." I'm like, "Oh, huh, all right." And apparently Nintendo on the Switch 2, if you use one of the flash carts to dump games, it will straight up ban your Switch from accessing any online service, including downloading games or firmware updates.
Get all your games now. Get all the games and then wait towards the end of the cycle and take your shot.
This is my oh my god. I get why, because I've said this before, they don't want to be in a PSP situation or a Dreamcast situation where plenty of people bought the hardware. No one bought it. Most people I knew did not buy PSP games, even if they owned a PSP.
Dang.
They pirated that shit, and they cracked that device and kept it cracked like hell. And
they cracked it wide open.
And then the Dreamcast was even worse. Like the Dreamcast had like basically no protection. You just burn Dreamcast games.
Wow. Okay.
Like CDs. Like it was crazy. It was crazy, dude. Just like full bind. People would have like full binders of CDRs just filled with Dreamcast games. Just
was it do you put it in the same? It's like you put it in the disc tray of your PC and just burn it like you would burn CDs.
Yes, you would
straight up the same programs.
File. Yep.
Wow. That's
not
bad.
like music programs for CDs, but like pretty close. Yeah, like it was just
so people made specific programs
onto the CD.
People made specific programs to burn games off of CDs, specifically Dreamcast.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes. Because you just ripped files and put them on shit. So
this is the time frame where Napster could become what it is. It's just like businesses were not keeping track yet.
Yeah, because it was new. Because like dumping a SNES game was hard. Dumping an N64 game or even a PS1 game had like copy protection because some knew what they were doing. And PS2 had that shit as well. So, but like, nah, man, Dreamcast. So, I think Nintendo, after seeing what happened on the Switch 1, had a very big concern about becoming the next Dreamcast, becoming the next PSP, or even the next 3DS. And they're like, nah, dog, we're not having this.
I was gonna say this sounds like a 3DS thing more than like Nintendo is not. I don't think is going to be threatened on that level, but
yeah,
especially because I'm lazy. I got the little cart thing and then I just was like, I don't feel like it, and I didn't do it. Like, I don't know.
I looked into doing it, and I and I was just like, it was
enough of a barrier for me to not do it, and I'm someone who's like a supporter of that in certain cases,
my thing is like I'm a 30-year-old man. I can pay for my games.
I'm a 30-year-old man. I can't. That's where I'm at right now, man. I got a CPU that's bottlenecking my OBS stream, and I can't afford a new one.
So on the other side of that, though, like, I also understand, like, hey, man, I have always been I don't want to emulate modern like in production consoles, even when I can. Like, it's just like no, I know how this shit works, and I know the back end, and I'm like, they need to make the money to keep making these fucking games. So
that's why I kind of like this idea of like they go and make sure like it can't go online or whatever, it's like it's in a way kind of saying like you can't do this right now. When it gets old enough that it doesn't matter anymore, kind of whatever.
And yeah, like well, when you're years and years,
We're coming out with Switch 3, you know?
yeah, like when we're on Switch 3, and like, yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. That people were kind of getting up in arms about that, and it's just like,
Also, there are
I
people
mean,
that are
did
working
you
to get
expect
around that, so whatever.
Yeah, there always is.
Always
Every
is.
time, like, there are people looking at how to crack the PS5.
Yep.
Like,
No, day
you
one,
know.
and that's fine. Let them do it. Go for it. And then like just know it's the same way Google is like trying to throttle people using ad block, and then uBlock Origin comes in 3 days later. It's like we found a way around it. Like just let people do their thing. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, like look, and the thing is I feel as though in the case of like emulation and piracy, it's like always this thing of, I knew people who emulated Switch 1 games, and it was very mixed results. Like sometimes you get a game that runs great, better than the console version ever could.
Yeah.
But then you have cases like Tears of the Kingdom, which would run great, and then also have just the worst nightmare frame dips you've ever seen,
Sure.
or or like Bayonetta, where it was like, oh, it's like higher res and runs at a solid frame rate, but at certain points of the game, it just completely shits the bed and crashes.
Yeah.
Because that's the nature of emulation.
It
like
is.
I feel that there's a lot of shit with emulation that like people don't talk about. It's the fact that like you think I have this conversation with Parker. He's just like, well, why not just emulate this thing? And I'm like, because it might not work, because the PS2 is a 24-year-old console, and the emulation on Ultimate Spider-Man is still broken.
There's something we're doing later in this stream where it's like, why not emulate? And I'm just like, I don't, because I can, and I know for a fact that this thing is going to work by going this way.
It's the like in the case of games, and then I also do feel I love emulators. I really do.
Yes.
I have over 200 some odd emulated PS2 games, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I love emulators, there's kind of always this nice thing. I always feel like the original hardware feels a little better.
I mean, sure.
It always is.
Like,
it's a nicer experience.
Emulation isn't about having the greatest experience with the thing. It's about being able to experience the thing, compared to the alternative of not. Yeah, that's kind of what it's there for.
Yeah, and the thing is though is like I've been I was talking about it with Anthony about this last night about like how I feel when it comes to like you getting to try their classics. Nintendo does a better job than most.
Mm-hmm.
Like you pay what I think it's $50 a year, and you get like a very kind of huge classic library.
It depends.
And
sometimes it'll like start very small, and then they have to grow it, even though they had a large back store a couple consoles ago.
Well, yeah, I'm talking about where they're at right now.
I know. I'm just saying they fluctuate.
They have reset twice, but I think that the switch to being such a continuation and all those games staying, tells me that I think that they're kind of set on building an ecosystem. They finally caught up to everyone where that is.
It would be nice. They can gain my trust.
If they do a Switch 3, that's when I'll fully trust them. I'll be like, all right, you're committed. You're committed.
I will trust them when they move on from Switch and call it something else, and it's a different concept, and then bring it all over.
Okay. All right, fair. That's fair. I'm. Oh man, just
yeah. I don't know. I'm not that bothered by that specifically.
Because I do want the best experience with these, and that, and in some cases, emulators do improve the experience. Like it is a better experience to play Burnout Paradise on an or not Burnout Paradise, Burnout 3 on an emulator than it is on a regular PS2. Like it's a significantly better experience. It looks better, it runs better.
All right.
It like there's all these kinds of unique map controls, but then there are some cases where it's like it's significantly worse.
Well, sure. Again,
Yeah.
it's about access. Period.
And we've talked about this as a big pro for Microsoft, and at least this generation so far for Nintendo has been like, guys, if you just make it part of your sub service, just charge us your $50 a year,
Yep.
and say I can play all the important N64, NES, GameCube games.
Right.
Fine, I'll do it. But like that's the thing, is that there's this old quote from Jeff Gersman that like, you need to be easier and more convenient than free.
Yep.
Because like I know how to get a Switch emulator up and running, a SNES emulator, a NES emulator, all those. But also I don't want to bother with it and tracking down ROMs that aren't going to give my computer AIDS.
Right.
So like if you give me just easy legal access, dog, I'm willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I think
great launch. Great console.
They did a great launch.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the games that release going forward. We got Metroid Prime, we got Donkey Kong, we got Pokemon.
Yeah, that and my girlfriend stoked for Mario Party.
Right.
And Mario Party this July, everybody.
Oh boy.
We're excited. We're so excited.
Goodness.
Yeah.
All right.
And then Kirby's out in August. So
Okay.
they got a solid first year, especially if you were not around for the last 2 years or so of the Switch. Like they've done a good job.
All right.
I feel like they need one more thing though. Like I feel like they need just one more thing for the year to be complete, and I don't know what that is.
Is this a setup for a bit? Is there a game in mind?
Or are you just genuinely thinking that
no,
they need just one more?
I don't know. They bring in Metroid Prime 4. Like I feel like that's a big one, and then you got this new take on Donkey Kong, and then they got this Pokemon thing. I don't know. That seems pretty decent.
That seems like great. But like I think back to the year the Switch 1 had those like two pillars of Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey.
Well,
I
don't
like,
know if they haven't announced a second pillar for this year, then I don't think it's happening.
Yeah, like well, I don't know. Mario Odyssey kind of came. That announcement came like late June.
When did it release?
I think so. Came out in October.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay,
Mario Odyssey was.
Well, then whatever.
That was a birthday gift for Bronson, basically.
It came out, I think, the same day as Wolfenstein, which was funny.
See, why didn't we have like the way Doom and Animal Crossing had? We needed a Mario Wolfenstein.
I would love to see a like image of Mario killing Nazis with BJ Blazkowicz.
Yeah.
Dude,
that's exactly what you need.
Just blood splattering.
I need to find an artist to
Mia!
commission that.
No, he blows up a Nazi's head.
Amazing.
That's a goal.
He gets in a tank. Let's
go. So okay, but did you say the Mario Odyssey people are working on Donkey Kong?
That's what everyone thinks because the art style and the fonts and everything looks so similar.
Because if that's the case, that makes the Mario thing suspect.
Yeah, but that also means like the Mario game for the generation is going to come out in like 4 years,
right?
Which that seems like
I don't think any of us want to wait that long.
We got 4 pillars. Well, 5 pillars for Nintendo now, right? It's Mario and Zelda, which Zelda had Tears of the Kingdom fairly recently, right?
Like 2 years ago, yeah.
Yeah. But it's been a while since we've seen Mario, since Odyssey. And then
that's 8 years.
Mario Kart World just came out.
Yep.
Super Smash Bros. That's not coming out this year.
Animal Crossing.
And then Animal Crossing.
That's and like Animal Crossing also. It's been a while
for Animal Crossing.
But that's also the Splatoon team. So I don't know. I don't know. They announced that Splatoon Raiders game, that Splatoon spinoff.
Oh yeah,
That's right. I'm working on that. So
So I'm like, but like,
So
I
there's your
really hope.
Splatoon pillar.
yes,
Yeah, like
it's not really a pillar, but I want it to be a pillar.
But I like look at Donkey Kong and I'm like, okay, they're not treating this like a premium title because it's not $80, it's $70.
Right.
And they just refuse to say it's the Mario Odyssey team. They like they refuse. They're like some people are like thinking like they pulled a couple of people off that team to go help on this, and then they're also working on something else.
Yeah, it could totally be. They started
know.
on a new studio that was led by some Odyssey people, which means the Odyssey people are actually working on Mario. That would make sense.
That would, yeah,
we have
that'd
no
be,
idea.
Yes, that'd be great. And yeah, so I'm just like, I feel like they need one more thing. I'm not gonna be disappointed about this year's lineup. Like I'm excited. I'm over the moon for Metroid. I'm even, I'm stoked for Donkey Kong. It looks great. We got that direct tomorrow, or I guess today if you're watching the recording of this.
Yeah. Or if you're watching the recording day of, yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't know. We'll see. I think they got a good year set up for them, but we do have a direct, a couple directs probably, right?
Yeah, they usually have a fall direct and a summer direct.
So
All
right.
The real shit though, and I posted this on our Blue Sky. Everyone who's ever made a game for Switch 1, y'all need to go back in and change your frame rate caps from 30 to 60.
That code is in the trash can, my friend.
Thank you.
Just look, I know it's somewhere in a database. Like, go drag it up, get on it. Okay, I know Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity can run at 60 FPS if you press the button.
Mm-hmm.
Go press the button, dog. Like I know it can do it.
I somehow doubt it's a button.
It might be
a couple of keystrokes and some code, and then
nice to think
it's
that.
legit.
Yes, but please and thank you.
It legitimate. So it depends. Technical stuff. It depends on if it's tied to game logic or not. If it is tied to game logic, then yeah, they'll actually put a lot of work in. But if it's like not, then it's like legitimately the equivalent of changing a text file.
So, well, I guess it's a case by case basis. Yeah. All right. Well, that is Nintendo Switch 2 news. They're doing fantastic. Yeah.
Yep, playing mine all the time, loving it.
Cool.
Yeah, I actually have mine like right here at my desk. So
been playing it.
You
were just playing, yeah.
I was playing my Switch 2 before we started. So I was
I'm like sitting here going like, y'all got any more of that Breath of the Wild Switch 2 update? I've nearly finished Breath of the Wild in 2 weeks, and most of those 2 weeks was spent 100%ing Mario.
Good Lord, man.
I still need 100% Mario Kart. Like, god damn.
I don't have all the characters because some of the characters are locked to that goddamn transformation item, and I don't want to do the trick where you get 2 controllers and just do the setup for it.
Right.
Anyway.
All right. Well, let's move on to our next story here, which our good friends at Bungie